What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Coach Lee just dropped this video not long ago, so I want to check it out. Also, I have a couple of friends that are on top of this, and they send me, hey, this just dropped. Hey, that just dropped, and I've only done I think one or two Coach Lee reactions, so let's keep it going. Also, there's more original content coming. I've just been doing this reaction stuff a lot lately, so that's what we're sticking to. Apologies for the chair squeaking. I got to pick up a new chair, but I'll try to minimize it by not moving around too much.
And I'm going to talk to you about how no contact works for those of you who are in no contact, but you're losing hope. And after the fifth point, I'm going to read two examples that have just come to me recently of where it's worked. So the first on the list of how no contact works is that you can't see them and they can't see you. And when you can't see someone, especially if this person was regularly involved in your life and you two shared intimacy and you had good memories with this person, then you experience something that I've started calling substitute recall. It's basically where this person has dropped out of your life so quickly and you were used to them. And so your brain, in order to try to explain it, in order to try to make sense of it, will picture them, think of them, and remember stories and things that you shared with them more than it would if you were still there. And the reason for that is because it doesn't make sense that this person was there and then gone. And so it's like a coping mechanism. And yet it actually can work in reverse if you stay in no contact. But that's part of what they experience when they get out of the relief stage. And I will link in the description below to my video, stages your ex goes through during no contact. But after the relief stage is when this really starts to hit them and they start to experience this substitute recall where they're thinking of you more often. And so no contact actually helps your ex to think of you.
It's true. I mean, like, he's a coach and I'm a coach. I don't know if the more popular you are, the harder it's going to be for them to speak to so many students. Because even me, it's like I find myself being busy with calls, and it's like it's so, even with the amount of views that I get, and he gets 10 times the amount of views that I get, even more. So I don't know if it's him that you're speaking to, but I can tell you from my experience speaking to students and having them on my coaching program, that when people actually implement no contact correctly and they fully let go and they actually do it correctly, within a few months, usually, again, it's a generalization. I don't, people are going to hop in the comments and be like, no, it doesn't work. Of course, there are going to be people that it didn't work for, right? Nothing ever works perfectly, for everyone. However, the time that it does work is usually after, it can be a month and it can be 4 months. It really depends. You guys want to not use any of that because none of that matters on how long it takes. It takes as long as it takes. If somebody literally breaks up with you, just just assume they're not going to come back, because the longer you're hoping, the more attached you are, the longer it's going to take them to come back to you, if they come back to you at all. So I have noticed that after, the relief stage is done, the relief stage is just that first little portion of a breakup that they're happy, right? They're happy that things are, that they've gotten away from the negativity. 99% of the time, it's just a lot of negativity, a lot of negative energy. And I'm speaking to mostly men here because that's my audience, but ladies too, they will associate you with not a good time. So they just want to get away from that. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, because as humans, we shouldn't choose to be around negativity. And everyone's like, why didn't they tell me? Like, I have students tell me this all the time. Why didn't they just tell me? Right? Why didn't they just tell me something was wrong? They probably did. But a lot of people get so wrapped up in the relationship and thinking that it's never going to go away, that they don't actually care as much as they thought that they would, until that person's like, hey, I'm leaving. And they're like, what? Right? Because I was the same way. I thought my first girlfriend was staying forever, no matter what, because I was so in love. I was projecting my love to that person. I was like, I would never leave you, so you'd never leave me, right? So you guys have to remember that level, that person's level of, their threshold, let's say, of dealing with negative energy and you and the issues might be lower than yours. And it's different for men and women too. So let's continue.
If you are constantly there and you're constantly in contact, there's no need for them to think of you because you are right there. If anything, they imagine you not being there because that's what they think they want. And so you're standing in their way, and that's what it feels like. But if you're not standing in their way, there's nothing to make them wish they were even further away. And so they don't go as far away. And that's where they can go into this state where they're recreating you because you've disappeared. And it's really interesting. And I've talked to a lot of people who've gone through it, and it makes no contact work even better. Number two, you staying in no contact demonstrates strength. And you can do this. Demonstrate how strong you are. It's attractive. This kind of strength is always attractive. And not only does it show them that you can live without them, that you can thrive without them, that you believe in yourself, that you can thrive without them, that you can live your best life without them, but it also gives evidence that they could lose you. And this is sometimes a point of contention because people will say, why do they care if they lose me? They broke up with me. It doesn't matter to them, clearly. But they didn't lose you. When they broke up with you, they were in control. When you're in control, you're not the one losing.
That's 100% true. If I could emphasize that 10 times more, I would. I call it dumper's confidence. You can call it whatever you guys want to. The person that's doing the dumping is usually deep down inside assuming that, they can get you back pretty much at any time, right? They're like, I'm leaving, and they're not even really thinking that way. They just want to pull away from the energy so bad that they don't really care in that moment. And then they're not even really thinking of all the good times and the routines right away. And that's why no contact is important, because if you're up their ass all the time and you're constantly texting them, showing up at their work accidentally, right? You're doing that, and they're just going to be like, they're not going to be able to experience the time without you enough. And that's what you guys need to pay attention to. It's the time away is good.
To lose something, it has to be out of your control. And so they have to actually see you stay away, that you are strong enough to stay away. And what that tells them is that if they wanted you back, there's a strong possibility that they couldn't get you back. And that's where they can start to feel that loss. And that's what can often feel so hopeless in someone in your situation, is that loss, because you have no control over the situation. And so we want your ex to feel a little bit of hopelessness, or at least to wonder, is it hopeless? You see, that's where their brain can.
You're creating a bit of anxiety, actually. Because you were once there whenever they called and texted, and now you're not. So when you do that, you start creating a window where, sometimes during this window too, they'll breadcrumb you, right? To see if you're still interested. And this is why you have to stick to your guns and say, look, I'm working on myself. This is what I want. But, you can't just so you have to turn off boyfriend mode. A lot of guys keep boyfriend mode on after a breakup too. Oh, I'll come over and fix this, and I'll come over and move this for you. I'll come over and do this for you. They need to know that you are serious, right?
A little bit of hopelessness, or at least to wonder, is it hopeless? You see, that's where their brain can start to be preoccupied with you, with what's going on. Could they get you back? Was the breakup the right decision? And it introduces doubt. It's a powerful, beautiful thing, and you need to stick with this. Number 3 of how no contact works. It prevents attraction from falling further. Because if they broke up with you, attraction, some form of it had fallen. Usually it's emotional attractions.
It's true. And also, the more you chase and pursue, the weaker you're going to look. So, because earlier he said, being able to sustain no contact is actually a strength. It's attractive. The more that you pursue and the more that you bombard them with messages and you're just up in their energy, they're going to lose more attraction for you. So at least when you start no contact, it will stifle the drop in attraction, which is a good point.
Sometimes physical attraction can fall, kind of depends on the situation. But if you stay away, it prevents attraction from falling further, because whatever the situation, the state that you are in is not as attractive to them as it once was. And there's all kinds of reasons why that could be the case. But in the state that you're in, if you're around them a lot, you're actually just further pushing attraction down. And you're making it to where, as I mentioned in the previous point, to where you stand in their way of getting what they think they want. And that makes you far less attractive, because what they want is on the other side of you. What they want is the opposite of you. And you don't want that to be a situation. So stay out of this. Leave them to rectify the situation in their mind and have to figure this out. And as you stay away and your attraction rises, it will often cause them to really take a serious look at the question of if they made a mistake. And that's what you want. You want them to be able to reconsider it. And if all they can think about is trying to get away from you, they can't reconsider it.
And that's what happened with my first girlfriend. She was she was out doing her thing, having fun. Who knows what having fun was, right? And she came back around and she was like, hey, what's going on? And I was like basically, what do you want? Right. And because I wasn't so eager to, jump back into a relationship with her or even see her. I was hanging out with other people at the time. I was still hurt over her too, which made it more difficult to want to be around my friends. But that's what happened with me, and that's what happened with some of my students too. Like, because my students will send me screenshots of things and voice messages, and they'll tell me things, and I'm like, okay, so this is the point where they're missing you, and this is the point where you have to be very careful about how you conduct yourself. Because let's look at the opposite. When guys are in no contact, the one thing that they want so badly is for their ex to reach out to them, and they'll do no contact, and then as soon as the ex reaches out to them, all the feelings come back, right? Their gut gets into knots. And this is because deep down inside, they're still hoping that, okay, when my ex contacts me, I can get right back into where we left off. And that's bullshit. You shouldn't do that. What you should be doing is, of course, working on yourself and doing all that stuff. But tell yourself, look, this may never work out. She may never come back, because you'll start to accept that reality. And then when they come around after, being gone for so long, you're going to go, okay, do I really want to take this seriously? Right? Do I really want to, entertain this, because she could just break my heart again? And that is actually a fact. So you have to be very careful, guys,
because they're so focused on the other side of you. Number 4, no contact allows a path back. And that's what's difficult to get people to understand, is that when you're in contact with them, when you're around them, when you're making this difficult on them, when you're complaining, when you're expressing your pain, showing your hurt, it actually makes it more difficult for them to come back. And the reason for this is that even if they start thinking about it and have some positives and think that maybe they'll give it another try, you have now placed a hurdle in the way. And that is that they think, well, if we do get back together, what if it doesn't work out again? Because they're not 100% sure either way. But if they think that they're losing you and they're feeling this doubt and they miss you, they remember experiences you two went through, they're willing to make a decision to move forward with you and come back to you and try this again. If they get to that point, the negative that could stop them from doing it is that they think, if it doesn't work out and I have to break up with them again, I have to go through all that drama again, all that difficulty, them begging, them constantly just asking me about it and staying when I don't want them to be there. And they think it will just be so difficult if I have to do this again. You don't want them to think that. You're showing them that if they do break up with you, that you can stay away, that you can give them the breakup. And so they feel like there's less risk, which is very important. You don't want to put additional hurdles, because a lot of times they're confused, they're struggling with the situation, and they're thinking that they want to try this again. But if there are enough negatives, it will at least delay them, and they can talk themselves out of it or allow friends to talk them out of it. And so you don't want them to feel there's risk and potential difficulty to coming back. And by staying in no contact, you are showing them that there's not. Number 5 in the list of how no contact works, it applies pressure in the right direction. So when you stay in contact and you bug them, you pester them, you plead, you won't leave them alone, you're actually putting pressure that's making them go the other way. You're pushing. And so they are getting further away from you, trying basically to escape you to this life that they think that they want. But when you go into no contact, there's no need for them to go the other direction. And since it appears you are going the other direction, they feel safe. They feel that there's no problems with them moving a little closer in your direction, even if that is that they start toying with the idea that they want to be friends. And this happens a lot when this is going on. They will reach out, hey, can we just be friends? Because they're feeling that distance and they're not wanting so much distance from you because you're not pushing them away.
What you should always reject, if they ever bring up the idea of friendship, just be like, nope. And yeah, it's and sometimes people will. I've seen this happen where somebody will break up with someone and they'll be like, look, hey, why don't we just remain friends? We all know what that means. Do you want to be my safety net? Do you want to be there for when I maybe experience the idea that maybe the grass isn't greener so that I can come back to you, right? And again, this is why no contact is important, because again, I want to really point it out to you guys that you're not doing no contact so that you can get them back. You're doing it because you need to, work on you and separate, right? And the more that you understand that, and because I think a lot of people watch these videos and they're like, okay, you're doing this for this reason, and they usually think, oh, it's because you want them back, or you're doing it because in 6 months maybe you'll get them back, or 2 months you might get them back. And that's what people feel in the beginning. Then when time goes on and you realize you're okay without them, a lot of dudes, especially in my program, will go, you know what, I don't even really want her back. I like working on me now. I'm seeing the results of working on me. I'm seeing the results of my gym progress, financial progress, I'm doing this and this and this, and I'm hanging out with different people, and I'm seeing new girls now. And their ex will call, and they'll be like, hey, and they'll have to make a decision.
Now, as you hopefully know from watching my videos, I don't suggest that you become friends with them or that you take this lowball offer of friendship. That will not help you get your ex back. But that's another video, and I do have videos on that. But it applies pressure from the other side towards you. It's more of a pull, actually. That's where we get attraction, is that attraction is a pulling force because you're not actually on the other side of them pushing, and you're not pushing them away. And so that's how no contact can be very powerful, is that it keeps them from getting too far away so they don't have to make up as much ground to get to the point where they want to get back into your life. They want you back in their life. They don't always go about it the right way. Like I said, they may suggest friendship, but it gets them moving the right direction. And a lot of times they don't suggest friendship. A lot of times they start talking to you and they want to see you. And this is where they're thinking that they want to get back together. And I see it a lot. Does it work 100% of the time? It does not, but it works a lot. And if that wasn't true, I wouldn't tell you that. And now I'm going to read a couple of examples of how no contact works, because I get messages every day where people tell me that it works, and they're thanking me for telling them about it and talking about it a lot, because I do bring it up a lot. And that's because you need to hear it. So I'm going to read you a couple of examples. So I'm reading this off of my phone. After 2 months apart, following your advice to the letter, his name, let's say Bill, is back in my life for good. We are now looking for a home to buy, and I've had to make him promise not to propose yet, as I'm not ready, but it's all he wants to do. I even told him about you, and he's amazed and overjoyed that I fought so hard for him when he feared that I wouldn't. So thank you for everything you've done for me, not just for helping Bill and me find our way back to one another, but for making me a better, stronger woman and partner. I will carry these lessons with me always. And it's interesting there that she even told him that she was watching my videos and that she was using this no contact rule that she heard from me. And a lot of people think that their ex is going to respond poorly, or that it's going to take away all the attraction that was built up.
Yeah, people do think that. I get that all the time. People are like, oh my God, if I start this, they're going to like forget about me, or they're going to hate me, or they're going to do this, they're going to do that. It's not true. It's just not how attraction works. And remember, at the end of the day, there are just a few fundamental things that make relationships work out and not work out. And when you understand those things, those rules, those energies, interactions, when you understand those things, and you really remember that a relationship is supposed to be a positive experience and a positive thing for the most part. And then from there, it actually goes back to each individual. So the people that think no contact is going to work is usually because from their framework and their, goggles that they have on, uh, they have a certain energy about them that has probably pushed people away from them instead of pulling, just like he's talking about, but in a different way, right? So the more attractive your energy is, the more attractive you are, not physically, just how you are as a person. Are you a delight to be around? Are you fun to be around? Or are you angry at everything, or sad, or too serious, right? You have to think about these things and work on them. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's what I'm seeing a lot with modern relationships is people are not doing the work from relationship to relationship. There was actually a comment yesterday that said, should I date during no contact? And I said, no. If you're not healed, no. Don't jump into relationships if you're not healed. And people are like, how do I heal? How do I forget about them? That is for you to go through on your own, because pain can't be accelerated, or sorry, the lessons that you get from pain can't be accelerated. You have to go through it in order to, but people will get a new boyfriend or get a new girlfriend to distract them. And then now you're in a new relationship with a person who really wants to be with you, and you don't want to be with them because you're still sad over your ex.
And while it's not something that I encourage you to tell them very soon after reuniting, if the work of it has been done and they're back together with you and they want to be there, then they are glad that you fought for them. They're in a position to where they can appreciate it. Whereas when they break up with you, they're not. That's why you trying to do things just puts them off. But you see, once you get back together and they love you and they're glad that you two are together, then that kind of thing is actually very good. It's great to know the other person has put in effort and loves you like that. Of course it is. And the next one I'm going to read is from a guy who got his girl back with a no contact rule. Coach Lee, I didn't think she would come back, and it hurt so bad to think about that. All I did was loop your videos day and night, it seemed. There were times I thought I was going to break down and contact her, but your words had been ingrained to me, and I knew that contacting her wasn't an option if I wanted her back. I can't express my shock and joy when she actually came to my house last night and sobbed as she begged me to take her back and kept telling me how sorry she was. I have no words except to say that no contact works, and thank you for talking about it so often. I hope this video.
So I just want to help reinforce the point that it works. Okay. And if you believe that chasing and pursuing is going to help you, it doesn't. And if you also believe that, you know, it works completely, you have to also be aware that it's not always going to work. So what you have to do is you have to have this healthy balance of, you know what, whatever happens, happens. It's called acceptance, right? Ag, flap, cap, apathy, grief, fear, lust, anger, pride, courage, acceptance, and peace. You have to accept whatever happens and whatever hits you and whatever comes. And I know it sucks that you're going through a breakup, but I promise you, you're going to come out the other side way more powerful if you work on yourself and heal. Okay. I'll see you guys in the next video. Coaching. Oh, coaching's down below. Done.